among the poorest people, the second group, the middle 20%, the fourth 20%, and the richest. So what is this going to look like? So as you're thinking about this problem, maybe you think this is what the wealth looks like in the United States. If you took all those dollars, maybe you think the poorest have about the same as the richest, and everything is pretty equal in this country. Maybe that's the way you think it is. Or maybe, and everyone's view of what it is valid. Your opinion, even if it's different from your opinion and your opinion, it's a valid opinion. That's what I'm asking you. What do you think it is? Or maybe, oh, there we go. Maybe you think it looks like this. Maybe you think the richest people have about, I don't know, what is this? 5, 8 times as much as the poorest people. Maybe you think this is kind of what it looks like. Okay. So the first thing that I'm asking you to do, and I think that I can put you back with your partner groups today, but let me show you how you should approach this. I'm going to drag the whiteboard over to our screen. Just a moment, it should be ready for us. By the way, someone yesterday was having trouble with the whiteboard, getting it to write if you were using this tool. And you just need to make sure and click on this pen over here, and then your own pens will show up for you if this is a tool you're trying. So this is what you're going to do then. You're going to have, and I have instructions for this written down. Come on, pen. Oh, if my pen is broken, I need to get a new one. So I'm going to have to write with my finger here. I'll check in a moment to see if I have another. Oh boy, see if the pen is working now. Yeah. All right. So you're going to have chart. I'll get, I think I have another pen in my bag, so I'm going to open this up. Let me just check right now and see if I have a working pen in my bag. All right, let me try this one. I'm a big lover of my pen, and it seems like now it's giving me, both of them are difficult. So I think it's something with the app. So I'm going to do it the best I can with my finger. You're going to have this representing, this is a vertical line. It's called the y-axis, and it's going to represent like the number of dollars or the percent of dollars, however you think about it. You're going to have, oh boy, I wonder if I can draw in Excel. Let me try one more way to draw it and see if this will work for us. I think I know another way. Hang on. Let's get a new slide up. Get the background so it's white. Sometimes I can draw it in here. Stick the color white. Let's just see if it's going to work. I don't know if to fool around with it. Okay, and I'm going to try yet just one more thing. I'm going to try to share my other screen because maybe that will work better. Thanks for your patience here. Because how can you know what to do if I can't show you? So I'm going to stop sharing and move to share the other screen. Let me just see if we're working better on the screen. Okay, this is going to work better. My pens are working here. So let me just get my pen and get a nice fine tip on it for us. And so you're going to have something like this. In just a minute, I'll have this all set for you. Cross your fingers. Okay, I used this quite a lot last year and it's a really nice tool. So I can't use it now, but I'll work on it while you guys are talking about this problem or working on this problem. So what I want you to do is to just draw a graph like this. I'm not able to demonstrate for you now, but we will have this repaired. So you're going to draw a graph like this. You're going to have 4 columns representing the poorest, the second, the middle, the fourth, and the richest. You're going to just draw like the number of dollars or the height of the stack of dollars that you would metaphorically allocate to this group to represent how much you think these, they're called quintiles, the poorest 20%, the second, middle, fourth richest have in this country at this time. All right. And let me just see if I thought I had an instruction on here on the next slide. Okay, so this is the instructions more specifically. So you're going to draw this rectangular shape for your graph. On the top of the rectangle, you're going to give it a title. So you can copy this down. Chart 1, actual division of wealth in this country. Then you're going to create these labels, and then you're going to draw the bars. And so in the end, it'll look something like this one, whatever you think it looks like though. Okay, so these are just 2 examples of what this might be. Now, you can talk about this with classmates, and it's a really good idea to talk about this, so I can put you in your partner groups again. And so why don't we take a few minutes for this, and that'll give me a chance to see if I can correct my whiteboard problem. So you're going to talk about what it is right now, and then when we're done with this, we're going to do another one for what you think would be ideal, but I'll talk to you about that at that time. So in here, we had the 3 of you working together, and then I hadn't yet put Stephanie in. So I'm going to invite Stephanie and Lyle to work together, and you can just talk about this. First, introduce yourselves and check in how everyone's doing. That's really important. Just everyone check in, you know, things are okay, or I'm kind of frazzled today, or like, you know, I had a fender bender on my way here and I'm feeling stressed. So whatever that is, do the check-in. And then talk about this, and we're only going to have 5 minutes. When we come back, I'm going to ask each of you to share what you drew, either in your partner group or individually, okay? So let me get these groups open and you guys in here can get started. You can make your chairs comfortably facing each other again. People online, do you have any questions about this before I get you off to your groups?
Do we draw it on paper or on whiteboard?
I probably don't have the tech to use whiteboard, but you're welcome if you do. But you would just draw it on paper. Oh yeah, and I'm going to just ask you to hold your paper up to the screen if you're using paper. That'll be just fine though, okay? So let me get the groups together and okay. I'm going to do my best to remember who was in these groups because I didn't write it down unwisely. Let's see. Okay, here I have one group assigned. Here. If I have you with the wrong person, I'm going to apologize in advance. I think I probably do. Your rooms are now open. 5 minutes only. It's a quick one.
What was the chart title you wanted us to use?
The chart title is written there.
Okay.
If you don't get it perfect, that's okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Manissa.
Hi, I have a question.
How can I help you?
So I didn't get the first part. I know you
Melissa?
mentioned the X and Y graph.
How can I
and,
help you? Are you able to hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Manissa, Stefan, Safra?
Yes, can you hear me? Hello?
Anyone? I'm not able to hear you. Oh, I think I know what's going on. All right, just a minute here. I have to do something a little different here. Hang on, I have to, okay. I think you should be able to hear me.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, I'm going to close out.
Yeah.
Okay, terrific. Let me end the groups.
Pretty much the model is what you have
Okay,
for us. And
how about you guys? Were you able to get a graph down? Okay, awesome. Well, it always takes a minute for everyone to come back, so.
do I have to get some water real quick?
Certainly. Okay.
We did have a question though. So the graph itself, you know how you have it arranged in the five
Yes.
divisions, okay? So over here on the right side or the left side of the column, you were referring to that as the y-axis, right?
Correct.
So on the y-axis, we were talking about, and we were saying that you can pretty much gauge this division of wealth by individual or by ethnic group or by state or by country. You could do it that way too, right?
Well, you certainly could, but you wouldn't be using the y-axis for that.
Okay.
The y-axis always takes you what you're counting.
The frequency.
The frequency, exactly. And what we're counting here is money. And so it's always the money that's on the y-axis, and the x-axis going across is, in this case, your categories. So when we get to histograms, it'll be a little bit different, but yeah. Okay, everybody. I think we might have had a little trouble in the group, and I tried to join a group and I wasn't able to hear them. So did everything go okay for most of you? Okay, what we're gonna do is I just want everyone to show these. This is kind of important. So I'm gonna do my best to put on a speaker view so that we can see what you're showing. And I'm gonna go through one at a time, and everyone should have something on here. So I'm just changing the view here. So your speaker is gonna be big. And we'll start with our online participants. So everyone, please turn your video on. And I'd like to ask Sean, I'm going to ask you if you'll show yours. Oh, Rufina, you're up here now. So do you have a graph to share with us of what you think it is right now in the United States? Okay, good. So the richest, yeah. So it looks kind of similar to what I did. Terrific. Let's go on to, I don't have a list on my screen right now. So Shannon.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, let me just finish this up. Sorry.
Okay. We can skip to Virgie if you want another minute, Shannon.
I got it.
Okay, let's see.
So we
Oh, here's
had,
your-
I didn't put a dollar amount to it, but
That's all right.
kind of, I don't know if you can see it okay, but
Okay,
I think
so
the
this
forest should be, I think we said less or about the same as the richest. And then the middle and fourth should be slightly higher.
Okay, so I think that what you did is the ideal, which is our next chart. And what we're looking at first today, because this pertains to the video we're gonna see, is how do you think it actually is right now? So see if you can do a second graph and jot that one down. And then you'll be set for the next one. All right, let's go on to Virgie.
Okay, so we have one like this where it's similar to yours.
Okay, all right, yep. So we look like that nice continuum. All right, let's see what Manisa has. You were the one I was trying to talk to in your group, but I couldn't hear you.
So I joined the class late and I wasn't able to get it done. But
Okay.
now I have an idea of what my question was.
Okay, thank you for letting us know.
Mhm.
Let's move on to Alexandria.
I was partnered up with Shannon, so we both agreed on the same chart.
So you were doing the ideal.
Yeah, we did the ideal, sorry.
All right, that's okay, but do one now yourself that is the actual what you think it is, okay?
Okay.
And let's go on to, let me get the list of your names here so I don't miss anybody. How about Stefan?
Hello.
Hi, Stefan. Glad you're
Hello.
here.
Hi. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to elaborate the rest of my team. Like it was like, I don't know, technical issues, but on my graph, I kind of included the like genders, like men and women with it.
Ah, you made a more complex graph. Do you have something you can show us?
Not right now. I'm just trying to come up with more categories.
Okay.
I didn't get a chance to finish it in that like 2 minutes.
Okay. All right, that's all right then. We're gonna move forward anyhow, but you can keep thinking on it. It's a really good question to contemplate. Let's go to Safra.
I was still trying to figure out how to do the graph part because I didn't really understand it at first, but I'm still trying to do mine.
Okay, so now you understand what it should look like, right?
Yeah.
Categories, okay, very good. Sean?
Ours is pretty much similar on
Okay.
our, so we're doing the actual, which
The
was
Yeah.
came out like that, like a ladder.
Okay, looks like your richest is a little bit richer than, like a little bit step up maybe, huh?
Yeah, it's kind of sadly, but kind of true to me. What I figured, there'll be no competition if it wasn't that high. I don't think. No reason for productivity and keeping the GDP at a certain level or percentage current.
Yeah, yeah. Gianna? Not sure who's here yet. Let's see. Okay, and let's just see those of you in here. It's going to be hard for the online students to see, but can you hold up and let me see what you were thinking? Ah, are you online able to see? Where would we have to hold these up to?
It's a bit too blurry. It's not really.
Oh, they're really beautiful though. Okay, so yours is pretty gradual. Show them what yours, show each other in this room what they look like.
Okay.
Real big difference there. You have a curvilinear sort of a thing going, a little bit of a curve if you were going to draw a line along the top of your bars.
We kind of agreed that there was a big difference between the fourth and the richest.
Yeah,
We found that there was a big difference. And
okay.
then from there, it was just a gradual decline.
Yeah. All right, this is terrific, you guys. So did I miss anyone who needs to share? So if not, I'm going to ask you to do a second task now. And I got my pen working, so I'll show you. So the next thing you're going to do, give me just a moment to share my screen again. And this you're just going to do individually for the sake of time, is you're going to, here come the instructions. All right, you're going to be doing the ideal, and this is what Shannon and her partner, I can't remember quite who was with her. You're going to do ideal. And so this means is maybe you think it's ideal right now, then your chart would be exactly the same. Maybe you think wealth should be divided up a little bit differently, and then your graph would show that. So now, and you're gonna, the only change in the title, it would be exactly the same, but you're gonna label it chart 2, and then instead of actual division of wealth, you're going to write ideal division of wealth. And what this could then look like in the end is you'll have one piece of paper, and it will have chart 1. And this title has the word actual in it. I'm not going to write it all out. You had your y-axis where you're going to represent dollars. Whoops. You had your x-axis representing the groups. You had them labeled. And then you had next, right, next 20%, next 20%. And then you had the richest. And then you had something like this for your actual. Most of you had something like this. Now you're going to do the exact same thing again, except you're going to label it chart 2. You're going to do it neater than I am in this funny screen situation. Chart 2, the word is going to be ideal. And you're going to configure it exactly the same way. And you're going to draw the same chart, except you're going to show what it should look like. And this you're going to do for yourself. And I'm going to ask a few of you to share, but not everyone, because we have a lot of things to cover today. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to do your ideal chart, just the way you did the actual for most of you. Okay. Now, it looks like the people in here need another minute or two, so I'm going to allow another minute or two, and then I'll ask a few of you to volunteer to show. So work up your courage, a few of you, and volunteer to show. Okay. So who has an ideal that they can put the actual and ideal, and you can sort of show a piece of paper with both of them? Is anyone willing to volunteer, or should I just call on some people? All right, could I call on you, Rufina? Oh, I think that I need to somehow get this to focus on you. I'm going to change this view again here. Okay, show us, Rufina. Sean, you're big on our screen if you have something to share with us.
That's chart 1.
Okay.
And then chart 2.
Okay. So it looks like you, yeah, so still a little bit of difference, but you equalized the couple middle groups and you equalized the top groups. And they're not as
Yeah,
disparate. Okay,
yeah.
thanks, Rufina. Sean, I think you were just about ready.
Yes, I have the same thing as we shared before. This is the actual that I believe it is.
Yes,
And then as far as the ideal, to me, ideal would have been similar, but a little bit more close together.
oh, sure,
Uh,
yeah,
and then I would like to add another one, which would be all this wealth in the United States is on native land. So I would have some of that percentage go back to some of the things that what this entirety the basis of wealth is determined and everything. And we never
yeah,
knew what wealth was until
yeah.
we were kind of convinced otherwise of resources and things like that.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about this, like the idea of owning land and owning property or owning or having more than your neighbor was antithetical to Native peoples. And so all of this fighting, I mean, there was still war though, I think, among tribal people. So I'm not sure what the war were about, but think about how much fighting we do on this earth over the things we think this is mine and not yours. And really, I would offer something different than that, Sean. I would say it's none of ours. It's none of ours, you know. But anyhow,
Okay.
this is the reality we're living in. Let's have two more people on the screen show, and then we'll have in here, we'll share too. I'm curious to see what you guys did. Do I have any more volunteers? Safra, Virgie, Tiana?
I'll do fine.
Thanks.
This was my first draft,
Okay.
and then the second one.
Okay. So it looks to me, hold it up one more time. I just want to wrap my head around it. So it looks like let's see, you've increased wealth for the upper groups in the way I can see. Yeah, all right. So that's an interesting way to think about it. Yeah. And how about if we go to in here, I know you guys online can't see, but let me just see what you guys are thinking for ideal. Okay. And what I'm seeing on the one that's shown, so this group had a curvilinear distribution, meaning they thought the richer people were quite a bit richer in this country. And this one is much more level. It's not flat, but it's much more level. So that's what Celeste, Cheryl, and Colin are thinking. And how about you two?
Well, hers is different than mine.
Okay, and now I'm seeing, okay, I'm seeing a more skewed distribution. I can see you have some background in this kind of language. And then we have a much more level distribution. So that looks like what we're seeing in here. And so what I want to show you is a little video. Now this video dates from 2012. Let's think about this, but this is the way it actually is. Just a minute here, I get the sound on.
Distributed in the United States. This is what they said they thought it was. Dividing the country into 5 rough groups at the top, bottom, and middle 3 20% groups. They asked people how they thought the wealth in this country was divided. Then he asked them what they thought was the ideal distribution. And 92%, that's at least 9 out of 10, said it should be
Hold on one
like
second.
this. In other words, more equitable. Now,
There. Sorry about that, you guys. People online, can you hear?
There's some echo around.
Aside from the echo, which I'm fixing, can you hear?
Yes. Are you showing a video?
No, I just paused it.
Oh, okay.
So the challenge is I have to play it through my computer. It's not picking up on our big speaker. So let me see if I can turn this off. All right. Hopefully, let's just see if we can make this work.
that fact is telling, admittedly. The notion that most Americans
All right, going back.
Dr. S.
rough groups at the top, bottom, and middle 20%.
Yes, Sean?
We can't see the video online.
Oh, yeah, that's That's going to be helpful. I'm not going to be able to fix the echo. Oh, if I turn off that mic, I can fix it maybe. I'll turn off that mic. Okay. Sorry, I forgot to share. This is so exciting dealing with tech all the time. I mean, it is. It's like, it's always a little stressful, but I've gotten done with that. All right, here's our video. I won't even start it until I turn off this mic. It's worth it. Online people, are you able to hear? Sean, can you hear anything?
Yes, Dr. Russ, we can hear it.
Thank you. All right, let's go ahead and play.
United States. This is what they said they thought it was. Dividing the country into 5 rough groups of the top, bottom, and middle 3 20% groups, they asked people how they thought the wealth in this country was divided. Then he asked them what they thought was the ideal distribution. And 92%, that's at least 9 out of 10 of them, said it should be more like this. In other words, more equitable than they think it is. Now, that fact is telling, admittedly, the notion that most Americans know that the system is already skewed unfairly. But what's most interesting to me is the reality compared to our perception. The ideal is as far removed from our perception of reality as the actual distribution is from what we think exists in this country. So ignore the ideal for a moment. Here's what we think it is again. And here is the actual distribution, shockingly skewed. Not only do the bottom 20% and the next 20%, the bottom 40% of Americans barely have any of the wealth. I mean, it's hard to even see them on the chart, but the top 1% has more of the country's wealth than 9 out of 10 Americans believe the entire top 20% should have. Mind-blowing. But let's look at it another way, because I find this chart kind of difficult to wrap my head around. Instead, let's reduce the 311 million Americans to just a representative 100 people. Make it simple. Here they are: teachers, coaches, firefighters, construction workers, engineers, doctors, lawyers, some investment bankers, a CEO, maybe a celebrity or two. Now let's line them up according to their wealth. Poorest people on the left, wealthiest on the right, just a steady row of folks based on their net worth. We'll color code them like we did before based on which 20% quintile they fall into. Now let's reduce the total wealth of the United States, which was roughly $54 trillion in 2009, to this symbolic pile of cash. And let's distribute it among our 100 Americans. Well, here's socialism, all the wealth of the country distributed equally. We all know that won't work. We need to encourage people to work and work hard to achieve that good old American dream and keep our country moving forward. So here's that ideal we asked everyone about, something like this curve. This isn't too bad. We've got some incentive, as the wealthiest folks are now about 10 to 20 times better off than the poorest Americans. But hey, even the poor folks aren't actually poor, since the poverty line has stayed almost entirely off the chart. We have a super healthy middle class with a smooth transition into wealth. And yes, Republicans and Democrats alike chose this curve. 9 out of 10 people, 92%, said this was a nice, ideal distribution of America's wealth. But let's move on. This is what people think America's wealth distribution actually looks like. Not as equitable, clearly, but for me, even this still looks pretty great. Yes, the poorest 20 to 30% are starting to suffer quite a lot compared to the ideal, and the middle class is certainly struggling more than they were, while the rich and wealthy are making roughly 100 times that of the poorest Americans, and about 10 times that of the still healthy middle class. Sadly, this isn't even close to the reality. Here is the actual distribution of wealth in America. The poorest Americans don't even register. They're down to pocket change, and the middle class is barely distinguishable from the poor. In fact, even the rich between the top 10 and 20 percentile are worse off. Only the top 10% are better off. And how much better off? So much better off that the top 2 to 5% are actually off the chart at this scale. And the top 1%, this guy, well, his stack of money stretches 10 times higher than we can show. Here's his stack of cash, restacked, all by itself. This is the top 1% we've been hearing so much about. So much green in his pockets that I have to give him a whole new column of his own because he won't fit on my chart. 1% of America has 40% of all the nation's wealth. The bottom 80%, 8 out of every 10 people, or 80 out of these 100, only has 7% between them. And this has only gotten worse in the last 20 to 30 years. While the richest 1% take home almost a quarter of the national income today, in 1976, they took home only 9%, meaning their share of income has nearly tripled in the last 30 years. The top 1% own half the country's stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. The bottom 50% of Americans own only 0.5% of these investments, which means they aren't investing. They're just scraping by. I'm sure many of these wealthy people have worked very hard for their money. But do you really believe that the CEO is working 380 times harder than his average employee? Not his lowest paid employee, not the janitor, but the average earner in his company. The average worker needs to work more than a month to earn what the CEO makes in 1 hour. We certainly don't have to go all the way to socialism to find something that is fair for hardworking Americans. We don't even have to achieve what most of us consider might be ideal. All we need to do is wake up and realize that the reality in this country is not at all what we think it is.
All right, how's that for a disturbing video? Did anyone think it was quite like that? Do you think it's gotten better or worse since 2012, the last 10 years?
Worse now?
It's worse.
Yeah. Everything that leads from the middle class on down to the poorest, it leaves those people struggling. And even the middle class can meet some of this inflation that's going on. And then with the rich and the wealthy, they're able to dictate how the money market can work, and also they're able to afford stocks and bonds and insurities, if you will. Even in investments, their investment is a lot more concrete than us here.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
And you're absolutely right. So the reality is that it is indeed worse today than it has been, okay? So the rich have gotten richer and the poor have gotten poorer, and that's even before COVID, okay? Now, if we get COVID into there, I mean, a lot of businesses did go out during COVID, which means that some people who were more affluent have struggled as well. But the ones who are way at the top there, that guy with all the dollars at the end of the graph, he's not struggling. That one's still okay. All right, so we're going to be talking about this as a way of illustrating some concepts in statistics. This is also like just an alert, like just an awakening to, for everyone to just keep in mind and beware and think about what your ideal would be and how you in your lifetime, you've got a lot of years ahead of you, can work toward establishing that. And your education is going to be a big piece of that because that'll empower you to run for office to vote well, to encourage others to vote well. So you guys have the power to do this. I'm kind of at the other end of my life, and, you know. But in any case, keep that in mind. And I would really like to see your charts if you submit them, but I just wanted to give you that as a way of introducing a few terms and launching us into the power of statistics. Now, what you just did was, like, you were just hypothesizing, but we would call this descriptive statistics. You are looking at all the people in the United States and thinking about what the income looked like in terms of numbers. So you just did your first statistics. And I want to introduce you to a few terms related to that. I guess I'm still sharing my screen here, so let me just drag it over. I think I know what's going wrong with my whiteboard. I think the second screen is taking too much power and it can't function well. So, all right, so let me share this screen. Okay, so we're almost there. Just a couple of terms. I'm assuming in here that most of you are starting kind of at the beginning, and if some of you are more advanced and have more experience, that's okay. And you'll pick up things, just like I learned things about Excel even after I thought that I was really the pro with it. So the couple of terms that I want to introduce to you are pretty simple. It'll be helpful if I can get my images up here. We were looking at a bar chart here. We're going to be using this next week. We know that this is a bar chart because we have categories. Like we have poorest, separated definitely from the next 20%, from the next, from the next, from the next. So this is a bar chart. On the x-axis, we have what we call categorical variable. These are some terms that you just need to know to get started. And screen sharing has stopped because the external display is disconnected. Okay. But now I'm sharing again. On the bottom here, this is the x-axis. And we have these 5 categories. And so this is called categorical variable. And another word that we'll use for this is nominal. That means that in each of these categories on the x-axis, they differ only by name. Nominal means name. All of this you'll be reading about in your first chapter, and we will talk about more next week because you have to be really fluent with this, but this is your first exposure. We know the x-axis is always going across horizontally. We know that the y-axis runs vertically. This is something that's measured. In this case, we were measuring or counting money. And again, this is a bar chart. And it is a bar chart because of the type of variable on the bottom. We use the bar chart with categorical variables. So that's just a little bit of exposure and way to think about the value of what we're doing. We will be working more, however, with this idea of income. But for now, I want to move into a little bit of instruction in Excel. So if you are new to our class, or you weren't here last time, we are going to be doing our statistics in Excel. The calculators are, of course, valuable, but we're really beyond that age. I mean, we're at the age when you need to be using the technology that's available to us, and this will give you tools to use it later. So at this time, I'd like you all to open up your Excel. I'm thinking that you have it here. I did mention last time, I hope that you all have access to a computer. And what I'd like you to do is open Excel. And if you don't have it, then where you find it is on your DC portal. So let me ask everyone who's here, I know the ones who are in this room, But to those of you on our screen, have access to Excel through Microsoft 365. I directed you to it last time. I just want to know, Shannon, you're good. Stefan, do you have Excel? Can you open it at this time?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Safra, are you able to get into Excel?
Yeah.
All right. Rafina? Can you get into Excel? Alexandria, Sean, give me a thumbs up or give me an indicator so that I can know.
Oh, yes, I could get into Excel.
All right. So everyone here, if you're not able for some reason to get into Excel, then you probably want to leave our class and come and view this later, because you want to do this along, you want to do what we're doing in class along with me. And you're going to hand in 2 assignments that are based on this, okay? So I'm going to just be giving you instructions. I don't have them all written down, but I do have a goal for each slide. And so the first thing we're going to do, I don't know the view that you're coming up with because I no longer have that. But let me see if I can minimize this on my screen. All right, give me just a moment because I'm going to stop the recording